Hey guys, so yeah, you read the title correctly. This is the 138th edition of the Animated Girls Profile Confidential, and the title is not fooling you. We are talking about the final, as far as we know, final member of G5's main six group, Misty Brightdawn. And this is a character that, I think has kind of established a fan base, in her own right, depending on how you feel about how she came to be. But long story short, we saw Misty kind of in the corner, kind of in the shadows, if you will, at the end of the Make Your Mark pilot, basically chapter one, when we got introduced, I should say, for the first time to Opaline Arcana. That's the first time we saw Misty. She was on the left. She was on Arcana's, I believe, right, and all we saw was just her in the shadows. And as chapter 2 came around, and chapter 3 and 4 and 5, we saw more of her because she basically became Opaline's double agent for the time. Opaline had basically been using her, as we find out later on, basically almost in a way lying to her about some things here and there. Misty wanted to be friends with her. You could tell Misty wanted to be friends with her, but Opaline, all she cared about was power, and if she had to use Misty's gullibleness to make that happen, manipulate that in her favor, then so be it. But yeah, Misty, throughout the chapters of Make Your Mark, throughout the minisodes, if you will, of Tell Your Tale, she's really come into her own. She has grown. And it wasn't until the end, I believe, of chapter 5, that she finally realized the mistake she had made and basically turned over a new leaf and got her cutie mark at the end of it, because Opaline had promised her, hey, you help me out, I'll make sure you get your cutie mark, basically not intending to keep that promise whatsoever. And well, basically Misty finally realizing that, yeah, she was on the wrong side, helped Sunny and the others escape from Opaline's treachery, and for a time had turned the tables on Opaline without Opaline knowing, by basically now being a double agent for Sunny and her friends against Opaline. Misty also got a new main coloring, I kind of guess you could say dye job, if you will. A new main dye job from the blue, kind of bluish, dark blue greenish coloring she had to purplish, if you will, purple pinkish, if you will, which is basically her new look. And yeah, she did eventually reveal, in chapter 6, basically the Roots of All Evil two-parter. She finally did confront Opaline and reveal that, yeah, hey, I've been on the side of Sunny and her friends the whole time, and not because you needed me to, but because I was doing it for them against you, or something like that. Basically, she just revealed the fact that, hey, I became a double agent for them against you instead of your double agent, if you kind of look at it that way. But yeah, she became a very interesting character during her build, to this moment. I mean, a lot of fans knew that, yeah, she was either going to be, with Opaline from beginning to end, and she would face the same consequences as Opaline. But I think over time, in fact, even in the first several episodes of chapter 2, I believe, and throughout the series, they saw that, yeah, she's not going to be on Opaline's side for much longer. She's going to join Sunny's side, and that's eventually what she did. Now, for anybody that comes out and says, well, she's the first villain to be redeemed, here's what I want to say to that. Yes, she was redeemed, but she was not a true villain. She was more of a manipulated villain, if you will. She was manipulated into being a villain for Opaline, who, in return for friendship. That basically Opaline kind of promised friendship, promised a cutie mark in return for Misty's servitude to her, if you will. And obviously Misty would find out the truth that Opaline, I guess you could say, full napped her, when she was a young foal, took her away from Alpha Belittle. That's right, the Alpha Belittle that you met in New Generation, kind of the leader of the unicorns in Bridalwood. I think it's Bridalwood. Yeah, it's Bridalwood. Basically, she is Alpha Belittle's daughter, and he had lost her some time ago, like when she was younger or something. Don't know how Opaline Arcana got her hands on her. I don't know if they've explained that. I got to go back and watch to see if they've explained how that happened. But yeah, basically she disappeared. She vanished. She ended up with Opaline. Opaline promised her friendship, promised, hey, I'll get you a cutie mark, you help me out. Nothing but lies, to her that she finally figured out. And it was during, like I said, her true redemption, her, kind of making up for being fooled by Opaline, that she reunited with Alpha Belittle. And I'm assuming, again, I got to go back and watch the episode. I'm assuming he probably let her know what happened, like, how she probably vanished one day and he couldn't find her or something. I don't know. I don't really know. Yeah. Oh, sorry about that. Sorry about that. Something popped up and something. It made it look like the app that I'm recording with here on my phone may have shut off or something prematurely. It was just coming up with the ratings. I don't know why it was asking me for ratings already. I don't know. But anyway, getting back to what I was saying. I have to go back and watch the episode again to see whether or not Alpha Belittle explained exactly what happened, and how, like I said, sorry about that, it was my mom calling on the phone. But like I said, again, I go back and we watch that and everything to see, if he does explain to her what happened. But yeah, she does grow in this, like I said, she does grow in this series, as well as in Terrier Tale. She really grows into her own character. And again, to correct anybody that thinks, oh, she's the first villain to be redeemed, no, she's not. And when I'm talking about villains being redeemed, I'm talking about legit villains. I'm talking about legit villains that being redeemed. Like Starlight. Starlight Glimmer is a good example. And so is Sunset Shimmer. Those are villains that sorry about that again. But anyway, like I said, she's really coming to her own. And like I was saying, when we're talking about redeemable villains, the two that came to mind as an example are Starlight Glimmer and Sunset Shimmer. Those are the two. Because, they started off evil, but then they saw the error of the ways. They saw the error of the ways. They saw basically that, what they were doing was wrong, and they were given a second chance to redeem themselves. And like Rainbow Rocks, everybody says that's one of the best MLP-related stories, movies, if you will, even though it's Equestria Girls, that's ever been there, or that's ever been out, I should say, that's ever been released. And the story is just perfect. It's just phenomenal, to where it brings Starlight, not Starlight, but Sunset Shimmer, full circle. I mean, you still get her redeeming some things throughout afterwards, but mostly Rainbow Rocks is like the one that says, yeah, she's fully good now. She's made up for what she's done. Starlight Glimmer, on the other hand, she basically had all of season 6 and somewhat of season 7, as an opportunity to redeem herself, and she did. Now, true, did she have some moments afterwards? Absolutely. But a full redemption came season 6 and in some parts of season 7. And that's it. That's about it. Those two are examples, like I said, of villains that got fully redeemed. Legit villains that got fully redeemed. You could say the same with Luna. Luna got fully redeemed too. And it took her a while. It took her a couple of seasons, if you will, to be fully accepted, redeemed, if you will, or to, not just for her, not just with herself, but by others. And, again, those are just legit examples, legit, flat out examples, if you know what I mean. And, when you look at, Misty, comparing that, Misty, she's not on that level because she was more along the lines of being manipulated. Same with Sprout. Sprout was more paranoid. He felt like what he was doing was the right thing, but he just let the power go to his head. He wasn't totally evil. He was just like, I gotta protect my kind. So his redemption, it doesn't fall in that same line as legit villain. A legit villain redemption would be if they turned Opaline around. That's a full legit villain redemption. Or a full, legit villain redemption is if Allura, the winged snow leopardess, or the winged snow leopard, gets redeemed, which I think she will. Those are examples, like Sunset, Starlight, examples right there of full legit villains getting redeemed. Coming full circle, going from bad to good. Opaline, if they would have done the same thing for her, which they didn't, would have been a good example. Same with, like I said, same possibly with Allura. We're not sure yet, but I'm pretty certain that might be what they do. She would probably, if they go this route, would be a good example of that. Misty, on the other hand, her being redeemed, doesn't fall in that category. She is basically making up for basically being manipulated, for being used, for doing what was the wrong thing, what was, not right. So she was always good. She was always good, and she wanted to make friends with Opaline. She wanted to trust Opaline, open her up to friendship, but it never happened because all Opaline was obsessed with was all that mattered, I should say, and all that she was obsessed with was power. That's all that she cared about, period. That's all that she cared about. Misty is not that kind of a character, to where she was fully evil. She was just being used, being manipulated. I mean, she said it herself in Roots of All Evil when she confronted Opaline. She said that, she basically called her out. She said, you use ponies. You use, ponies and creatures to get what you want. You don't care about friendship. You don't want that. All you want is power, and that's it. And even though she tried to, sympathize with Opaline and say, look, I wanted to be your friend, but all you care about is using people and pretending to be friends. And that's what Misty was. She was used. She was being used by Opaline. So her basically being a villain that got redeemed, no. It doesn't fall in that same category like the others I mentioned. Instead, she was basically redeeming herself for being lied to, for being manipulated to, being used. And now she was making up for that by being a double agent, double agent, if you will, for Sunny and her crew. And because of that, even when she first showed up and was thinking she was doing the right thing and all that, for Opaline and sought, in hopes of getting a cutie mark and potential friendship with her, fans knew she was going to be good. They saw the fact she was going to, turn over to the light because she was already light. She was already good. She was just being used. People saw that and they basically followed. They went to her. They gravitated towards her, and thus she became a fan favorite. Now, as we go into Tell Your Tale as the main focus next year, with a potential return of Make Your Mark in the fall, if that happens, I've got a feeling her popularity is going to grow. I really do. You're going to get more. You're going to get more stories focused on Misty. I really do. I've got a feeling she's going to come into play when it comes to facing off against Allura. And if they go the route I think they are, she'll come into play of not only confronting Allura and stopping her, but also redeeming her. I've got that feeling. I don't know why that is. But yeah, Misty Brightdawn to me, we're just seeing the beginnings of this character, and over time we're going to see more of this character grow. We're going to see more of her character evolve. Believe me. Believe me on that one. But that's all I can really say, guys, on Misty Brightdawn here on the 138th edition of the Anime Girls Profile Confidential. I do apologize for the interruptions via the phone. That is, that sometimes is unexpected when you do recordings or live streams or whatever. But let me know what your thoughts are on Misty. Do you like the character? Do you see potential with her? Let me know down below. And until next time, guys, I will see you. Until next time, I will talk to y'all later. And who knows? We might have somebody else on the verge of the 139th edition, but who it is, well, you'll just have to wait and find out.